Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video. Myself, Marta, or as always I'm here with the latest from the tech world in the last 24 or so hours. Apologies for sounding rather tired. I made the dreadful mistake of trying to bike into work today. I will not be making that mistake again. Anywho, we're going to be talking about first the Nvidia Shield. So, not that long ago, you may recall that I talked about the codename Madasi, which was apparently referring to some sort of refresh or new version of the Nvidia Shield TV. And this was spotted, just to refresh your memory, in the Google Play Developers Console Device Catalog. And now we have a bit of an update to this thanks to the sources of the digital fix, as they contacted the website, that being the sources, and basically said that yep, a refresh of the Nvidia Shield is indeed in the works and apparently is going to be out this year. So we are going to be seeing some performance improvements. Now, one of the things that you may remember from the Madasi codename is that it was still using a Tegra X1 processor, and apparently that is true. According to these sources, again, this is not confirmed, so do take it with a pinch of salt, etc, etc. But despite the fact that it is using the Tegra X1, it is going to have some performance improvements, which is going to be the result of higher clocks, but unfortunately they did not go so far as to give us exact specifications. We are going to be seeing the Android 9 Pie that we saw in the leak previously, which is an upgrade from Android 8, which is in the currently available model. There's also going to be a more quote-unquote streamlined controller, as well as a more advanced remote, whatever that means, it's hard to say. Now, the meatiest bit of this rumour, and one other thing that I did sort of pose myself as a potential possibility of what Nvidia are trying to do here with this refresh, is posit the Nvidia Shield TV, as a sort of answer to the Google Stadia. And I did speculate that that might be the case, and according to these sources, that is exactly what Nvidia are trying to do. So we are most likely going to be seeing Chromecast integration, because the original Shield came with that. We might even see Chromecast Ultra support. But unfortunately, one thing we didn't hear about from these sources is the price. I think the price is going to be critical here as to how well it does versus Stadia. The Stadia has come under a lot of criticism for the pricing of the actual physical device, and of course the price for the games as well, and of course all the concerns about latency, blah blah blah. And to be fair, that does apply to the Shield as well, but still, it could be interesting to see what Nvidia pulls out here and if it's going to be enough to challenge the Stadia in this field. But speaking of things mobile, we have something new from Microsoft and the Surface. So, what we have here is, according to Jeff Lynn from IHS, who himself cites a supply chain report, we're going to be seeing a new foldable Surface device, which is going to have two 9-inch screens that will be able to fold outward and will have an aspect ratio of 4:3. So we are expecting to see inside this device a 10nm Intel Lakefield processor, but understandably we don't know the exact silicon. According to other reports, we're going to be seeing shipping begin in the first or second half of next year, and we're going to be seeing an announcement from Microsoft in October of this year, and the codename for this is allegedly going to be Centaurus. So, in true Microsoft style, we're most likely going to be getting a teaser in October, and then we're going to be getting a fully fledged launch sometime next year, pretty much exactly what did the Xbox One X, and pretty much exactly what they're doing with the Scarlett, although I will say the Scarlett reveal that they showed at E3 this year was much more informative than the reveal of the Xbox One X, so I'll get that done at least. But this is not the first we've heard about Microsoft working on a new Surface. There were rumours working on a while back that Microsoft were working on a redesigned Surface machine with a hinge, but obviously it's entirely possible there's different products, or they've scrapped the whole hinge thing. It's entirely, well, that particular hinge design, I suppose, just to say, it's entirely possible that they are the same, and it's also possible that they're not. So, could be interesting to see what happens with this one, because obviously Samsung released, or well, I say initially launched, I suppose a better way to phrase it, the Galaxy Fold, and it didn't go so well. The review devices had numerous problems, and the company have had to postpone the release, and there's still no definite release date, despite Samsung's assurances that yes, it is ready, we're going to be seeing it soon. There's not been any confirmation of exactly when that it's going to be. And for those of you who perhaps missed it or need a bit of a refresher as to what happened with the Fold, it was only in the hands of reviewers really, and there were still numerous reports of it breaking only after a couple of days, numerous screen issues, the screen protector causing problems, all this sort of stuff that was a result of the fact that it is a foldable phone and that comes with its own sort of issues and niggles and so on. So I am a little bit, that I'm not concerned is the wrong word, but that's kind of in the back of my mind, I suppose, to say that yes, a foldable surface makes sense, but we've seen that comes with its own issues and problems, but it's entirely possible Microsoft have got a solution that Samsung just didn't think of. But I suppose the real question here is, would you be interested in a foldable Surface? I'm definitely interested in the sort of concept of one. Tablets are great and all, but they're bulky, they kind of get in the way when you're not using them, all that sort of stuff. So, it would be nice. It's arguably a quote-unquote gimmick, but it's one that could be useful depending on how Microsoft actually does it. Of course, this could all be for moot, because this could be all false, and maybe they were working on it and decided to scrap it, or then they are going to be doing it, but not for a while. It's not going to be until like 2021 instead of 2020. All these things are, and more, of course, are possible. But let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. But we're going to move over now to the PlayStation 5. Yep, it's time for yet more PS5 news, and I wouldn't expect it to dry up anytime soon, because while it's not coming out this year, we have learned an awful lot about the PlayStation 5, and apparently Sony's new patent could mean that loading screens are a thing of the past. And if this sounds familiar, it should. I have talked about this before, about how this is what they're trying to do. And this patent, which we will find linked in the description below this video, reads, quote, system and method for dynamically loading game software for smooth gameplay. A load boundary associated with a game environment is identified. A position of a character in the game environment is then monitored. Instructions corresponding to a next game environment are loaded into a memory when the character crosses the load boundary, such that the gameplay is not interrupted. Now, it is important to point out that the PS5 is not directly mentioned in the patent itself, but what else could it be talking about, really? It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure that it's talking about the PlayStation 5, given that, well, they're probably not talking about a new PlayStation Vita. I think this could be really, really cool. Obviously, developers have managed to do this without special technology, or at least one bit by Sony, I suppose to say. They've obviously got their own coding and behind-the-scenes stuff that I don't know about because I'm not a developer that made this possible, like God of War and, of course, Breath of the Wild and a bunch of other games that I'm sure you're thinking of as I'm talking. But while it's not a huge thing to have load screens, I think the main thing is just not to have obnoxiously long loading screens. And yes, I'm looking at you, Bloodborne. I will always look at you, Bloodborne, when I'm talking about long-ass loading screens, okay? Until another game has long loading screens, you're the poster child for it, I'm afraid, my friend. So, I don't think it's a huge issue, but obviously it's always nice. It's nice when you've got a huge-ass game and maybe it loads to, like, have a cutscene for a story or something, and that's about it. There's no, like, constant, like, oh, you're in a new area, better load. It just breaks the immersion, and it's kind of frustrating. So, while it's not huge, nothing to throw a parade about or anything like that, but it's still pretty interesting and cool, and I'd really interested to see the sort of outer boundaries, I suppose to say, of this technology. Like, how big can you go before, no, you have to load, like, this technology can only load a certain amount prior to it, and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be cool to see how developers play with this, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to finish things up today with a little chatter about Cyberpunk 2077, and yes, I cannot stop talking about this game because I cannot wait to play this game. It looks amazing. And we have some more confirmation about a little detail to do with the gameplay. Of course, I recently discussed how there's going to be an option to play through the entire game without killing anyone, which is going to please a lot of people like your Deus Ex, and obviously just having more choice is always nice. I mean, I doubt I'll go for the never kill anyone option, but it's nice to have the choice at least kill some of the enemies non-lethally. Anyway, and at E3 2019, GamingBolt.com interviewed one of the quest directors, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I'm just going to butcher it, so apologies. And they asked him if the game will have a morality system. Now, of course, these systems are not really a thing as much anymore. They were all over the place for a while. It seems like every game ever had some sort of like, hey, if you did this thing, you get the bad ending, lol, kind of system. And he said to Gaming Bolt, quote, "We don't have a moral system per se. However, to complete it non-lethally, you have to be very good at stealth. invest in points that allow you to stealth better, use weapons that allow you to incapacitate the enemy instead of killing them, to make the moral choices that will allow you to avoid killing people throughout the game. So, long story short, it's not going to have a moral system, it's not going to penalise you if you decide to kill people, but it is going to make you work to actually be able to stealth it up effectively. Which is fair enough. I just hope it doesn't make it too obnoxious, because that is one of the sort of criticisms that the Deus Ex reboot had, of course, that it was quite hard to play it non-lethally just because of the limited resources you had for the non-lethal option. So, while I'm not saying it shouldn't be difficult, of course, but a challenge is always welcome, and I'm sure the people playing it completely stealthily are doing it precisely for that reason. Let's just hope it's not too obnoxious to do, is all I'm saying. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and you have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.